Welcome to another episode of the Presale Pulse, where we talk about everything real estate in the Fraser Valley. I'm Ryan Lalonde. I'm joined by one of the hardest working women in real estate and our partner, Brittany Reimer. Brittany, what's going on?
Excited to be here. I was actually really surprised. You brought me back for another version of Presale Pulse, but looking forward to it.
You were just above the line this time.
Was
so
I? Yeah.
Glad that you made it on.
I don't know if you actually heard, but I did hear that our subscriptions went up 25% from last month. So I have to think that Fraser Valley being on the Pulse had something to do with that.
Yeah, we'll fact check that data later, but thanks for the note.
Yeah, I'll check. I'm sure I'm right. I'm right.
So Sue started the last one, and if you haven't, make sure that you guys click in. It's in the links below, but the Metro Vancouver version of the Presale Pulse, it's definitely worth the time. But I have to start off with saying Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
It feels though, like even though the December celebrations were a little bit behind us now, we're mid-January recording this, we're gonna reflect on everything that happened in the month of December. When you look at the data though, the Fraser Valley really didn't go on holidays.
It didn't. I mean, I can tell you from our programs in particular, we were doing deals on Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, like things did not stop at all for the month of December in the Valley. So it's exciting to see, but I think all of us are happy to see 2020 behind us. Heading into 2021, first few weeks feels great here. Looking forward to it.
New energy.
So
the rundown for today, of course, as always, this session, all about recapping everything that happened both in resale and in pre-sale in Fraser Valley over the month of December. We're excited. We've got some really great data points to share. More importantly, some really good insights. We're going to hit on some of the topics that are trending throughout the industry. We're definitely going to touch on the gossip, and then of course all those project launches. There's not a lot, but we're still going to do our best to cruise through them. And anything that we think worth sharing is going to make it onto this list. Now, keep in mind that there's an incredible amount of information that we're going to tackle. We're not going to review all of it today. Our goal is to make sure that we're hitting the insights. But if you are interested in learning more, check out the links below. Everything is captured in there, and we're always open for a conversation should you be looking for a second opinion or wanting to learn a little bit more about some of the topics that we're covering today. We have to give a shout out to Michael and John from Urban Analytics and our good friends at Altus. We really appreciate all of the information that they share with us. It's a big part of some of the recommendations that we're making on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. All right, so let's jump into it.
it feels good to be in the Valley right now. We saw over 2,086 sales for the month of December, which is incredible. That marks the 6th consecutive month in a row that we've seen over 2,000 sales in one month. Not to mention marking the strongest month of December that we've ever seen on the books.
We felt that on our sales centers. There's no question. Traffic was thriving, and most importantly, conversion rate seemed to continue to be very, very steady. There was some transition from in-person meetings to our online package. Emily Live's been a fantastic supporter of being able to deliver an online transaction, but nonetheless, our expectation is that inventory, with such rampant pace growth of sales, inventory's dropped by almost 1/3 throughout the marketplace. And so sales ratios right now, we're gonna get into that a little bit later, but they're some of the strongest that we have throughout the Lower Mainland. Our belief is that they're set up to continue to surge, and that's gonna have a huge impact on the upward pressure on price.
Absolutely, 32% decrease in inventory in 1 month. I mean, we traditionally see December obviously looking lower in terms of inventory just because of the holidays and Christmas and things like that. Some people taking their homes off the market to wait for January, but still just to see that amount of activity was absolutely incredible.
Right, and I think that falls into the next topic, which is HPI and composite price. Now, throughout the year, we saw an 8.5% gain throughout the 12-month period. That's a notable increase, because you have to recall that COVID in those earlier parts of Q2 and Q3 really had an impact on all marketplaces. Fraser Valley fared a little bit better than Greater Vancouver. When we look at month over month, so the month of December from the month of November, 1.1% increase, that's huge, right? Very unprecedented for the Fraser Valley, given the amount of supply that we've typically been able to bring on. Fast paced, because much of that inventory is 4-story, 6-story ground-oriented townhomes. But I think what really stands out is the single-family marketplace. 13.3% year over year. That is massive. One of the hottest markets in Canada when it comes to single-family. And what we're really talking about here is again, the setup for 2021. You have a massive decrease in supply. You have incredible demand right now. You're seeing the unhinged between work and home. And much of the Fraser Valley sales are resulting from many residences throughout Metro Vancouver choosing east, right? Primarily because of affordability of space.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when you think about that 1%, that is a big number for 1 month. But then you think about the fact that that 1% has been consistent over the last 6 months.
Right.
So really, we're talking about a 7% increase within the last 6 months, which is huge on that bottom line. We're talking about a 6% increase on 600,000. Like, we're 40,000 just on one door, and that's on the townhouse side. When we start to look at the single-family side, those numbers become even more extreme.
Right. What's going on in pre-sale?
Pre-sale, lots of stuff happening on the pre-sale front. We didn't see a lot of new launches, to be honest with you, for the month of December, but what we did see was a lot of success on programs that were already active in market. So River and Pine, which is an Alaman site in South Surrey, they sold 65 to 66 homes over the last couple months here. Incredible amount of success on that program. Not to mention when we think about the absorptions, but then you also think about the price per square foot. We're seeing product now in South Surrey at over $500 a square foot, inching into that $550 range. This is keeping up to pace with the Langley market, which is a real shift. Langley market has dominated over the last 3 years, and so to really see South Surrey catch up and start to see strides, I think is a real good indicator as to what we have to come in 2021 for the South Surrey market.
It's surprising to us that given the rapid pace of absorption of so many of our multifamily projects, when I say so many of ours, I mean the marketplace in general, I'm really surprised that we're not seeing more price escalation on the sales floor. Alaman is a really good example. There's been a tremendous development partner, and we've really seen prices change throughout the life cycle of the project because the marketplace that we started and the marketplace that we're ending in are two very, very different.
Absolutely.
What's your take in terms of pricing on the pre-sale front over the next 12 months?
When we look at South Surrey, I definitely believe that price is going to continue to escalate. Langley, townhouse market, no sign of stopping right now. But what we're really seeing is that shortage in supply in Langley is starting to have a huge impact on other submarkets such as Abbotsford. Abbotsford, when we looked at the sales to listing ratios for December, it was over 90%. I mean, those are huge, huge numbers for a townhouse market in Abbotsford. So lack of supply there. We haven't seen a lot of new construction launches in that marketplace. I expect over the next 12 months, we'll see some good wood frame, low rise, 4 to 6 story product come to market. Heinrich's Court coming up quickly as well. And then we think about Gardner by Mosaic over the last quarter here. They've really started to see that inventory come to a full slowdown, and they're sold out as of December, which is really exciting to see. But how can you be surprised with a 90% sales to listing ratio that they're getting that activity?
Well, let's talk sales to listing ratios right now in terms of resale. Can you share a little bit about what's happened, what you're seeing out in the Fraser Valley?
I mean, you've already mentioned it. The single family market is hot. We're seeing 62% sales to listing ratio right now across the Fraser Valley. Again, you kind of nailed it there, Ryan, talking about that multi-generational buy that we're seeing, which is a real big trend right now. We're seeing the millennials that are borrowing from family. On the townhouse front, we're seeing 79% sales to listing ratio. So no surprise there. We're seeing certain pockets, Abbotsford, 90%, Langley in the 80s. The apartment market is still doing very well as well.
What's working there is all about reaching towards neighborhood agents, reaching towards that local community, really relying on their previous databases, on previous launches in order to drive those transactions. And I think that's fascinating because to hit that type of volume and scale in the Fraser Valley is unheard of. The big push will be to understand how they absorb the remaining 300 plus doors from within the community. And our beliefs, similar to what our expectations are within the Greater Vancouver, is that as airports open up and as we see vaccines really take hold throughout all continents, air travel returns, and with that comes the return of the investor back into concrete marketplaces. And it's hard to imagine how Surrey isn't really poised to grow over the next 12 to 24 months, primarily because that's a big project. You have a 5-year window in terms of completion and delivery. A lot of expectation that prices 5 years from now will be higher. But that's also a tough community. There's a lot of development that's going to come up, and it'll be interesting to see how they're able to compete with some of the new inventory that's going to continue to roll out month by month by month in that marketplace.
We're already starting to see things sort of plateau. Of course, at King George Hub, we're starting to see some of those incentives being offered, but there's no doubt about it, a huge amount of success over the last 45 days. It'll be interesting to see how Surrey City Central is actually impacted by other sub-communities such as Fleetwood. We're obviously seeing transit expansion now in into Fleetwood, Cloverdale, and eventually downtown Langley. And so what will be really interesting to see is, will that investor continue to go to Surrey Central, or will they choose to look outside of that area and that pocket and select other new and upcoming locations where maybe they feel like they're the pioneer.
And so our expectation of what all of this means, and that's really what we're focused on, is what does it mean? Our belief is that projects like King George Hub and others in that marketplace, you're going to see a transition from early momentum building campaigns into more synchronized sales campaigns. And with that is going to come big buyer incentives, probably big agent incentives. Because not only does that investor and that worldly traveler that's coming from overseas, as soon as airports open up, are going to consider pockets like the Fraser Valley, they're going to be in competition with Coquitlam, with Brentwood, with Metrotown, and with Richmond. And these markets will come alive and all compete for a very similar stable of buyers. Something to keep a very close eye on throughout 2021 will be the ramp up of incentive structures and where price per square foot goes on pre-sale in those markets.
No, I agree. I mean, we're already seeing some signs of this too, right? You look at the townhouse market, for example. We look at Langley, look at where those numbers are. I mean, we're seeing numbers similar to Burke Mountain now in Willoughby. And so I think those signs are already showing, but I definitely agree that, that transition is going to happen to the concrete market with time as well.
We can't wrap up a pre-sale pulse without asking if there's a few predictions that you have for 2021. We're January here, and of course this is all about December, but I'm sure that our viewers also want to be aware. What is it that you're keeping an eye on? What is it that you expect to see over the next few quarters?
That is such a great question, Ryan. There's so many areas that get me excited. I think about, and I think we mentioned this last month, I think about that acreage market. Buyers really wanting more space. They want to be able to have potentially family stay. They want to be able to work from home. We see these multi-generational buys, which we chatted about previously as well, where we've got two families in one dwelling, or looking for that land opportunity to be able to build two homes. No doubt about it. That market is going to continue to thrive. We're still seeing it. Every agent I chat with is saying 20 to 30 offers on one single family home, which is insane numbers. One buyer gets that home and 29 others head to another property. The other side of this is Abbotsford, Mission. We talk about this a lot. Just seeing that trend and some of those numbers from the sales to listing ratios, I can't help but think with how compressed the Langley and Surrey market is, that those buyers are going to want to look elsewhere. And Abbotsford is the first stop. More size, better value, low interest rates, better buy, particularly on the single family side, and really more bang for the buck. I think if we're going based off all product types, I would say that we're probably looking anywhere from a 10 to 12% increase. I would say single family is going to continue to thrive, no doubt about that. The condo market was a bit slower this year to pick up, right? We saw a lot of big gains on the townhouse side. So if I was to guess, I would say that we're going to see some big gains on the condo side. This is a ripple effect, right? As soon as you start to see some of these other product types see these type of gains, it's inevitable. We're going to see some good action on the condo side.
Right, and I'll take the over on the 13%. Looking forward to that. So we'll put a bottle of wine on it.
Perfect.
And my belief is that as you begin to see those double-digit returns on single family, the pressure then of that homeowner that's looking for acreage or looking for square footage in single family, it's too competitive. They begin to look at townhouses, and from that perspective, sales ratios on townhouses will thrive and run in 2021. I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Once again, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. A lot of data was shared. We're doing our very best to speak more about the insights and less about the information up on your screen. But if you are interested in learning more, our recommendation would be take some time to reach out. We're always open for a touch base or to help understand how we might be able to help. And just a reminder, click all those links below. Give us a thumbs up, make sure that you subscribe. That gives you unparalleled access to everything that we ship out. That includes our daily newswire. That's a roundup of all of the hottest articles throughout the industry. It gives you access to our monthly pulse, shows like this, and some other great content. But most importantly, it gives you access, unparalleled access, to many of the projects that we have coming up in 2021. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you next month.
Thanks, Ryan. Looking forward to seeing you again next month. We'll be filming out of our Fraser Valley office.
That's a wrap.